Welcome back to the channel. Join me today when I will be replacing the spark plugs on this year 2000 Honda CB600FS Hornet. First, we need to remove the seat. Make sure the fuel petcock is off, then remove both side panels off out the way. Remove the fuel tank retaining bolt. Then disconnect the fuel and vacuum lines from the petcock. This will then allow us to remove the fuel tank. I'm going to move out the way the ignition coils. So here I'm just marking up 2 of the 4 connectors with a Sharpie pen to make sure they get reconnected the correct way afterwards. Now, moving on, I attempt to remove the spark plug from cylinder 1 with the spark plug tool, but after taping it together previously, the knuckle has failed on me on this occasion. So, after managing to fish the socket end out of the spark plug hole, I continue this job with just a normal long reach 16mm socket and extension bar. Once I have cracked the spark plug loose, I'm going to be using a small piece of rubber hose, as can be seen here. This will help me to easily remove the spark plug from inside the recess. Now, when installing the new spark plug, I carefully attach the rubber hose to the top of the plug, sliding the rubber hose over the white porcelain part. Note here how I am not touching the porcelain part. I am only gripping the spark plug by the metal hex part. This is to avoid leaving any grease on the porcelain, to avoid creating any hot spots, and hopefully prolonging the life of the spark plug, along with any potential performance issues. Just for reference, the rubber hose that I am using is approximately 19 centimeters long and the internal diameter is 8mm. This piece that I had to hand had a slight curve to it, so it was a little more fiddly than it had to be. So it helps if you have a nice straight piece of tubing. Now I'm just going to get the first couple of threads started and making sure the plug is not cross-threading. Checking our Haynes manual, it states the correct torque value for this specific model is 12 Newton meters. Then we can torque the plug down to the correct value. Replace the spark plug cap and press down firmly to make sure it is properly attached. Now we can move on to the next cylinder plug. The only additional thing I needed to do was use one of these adjustable knuckles for cylinders 2 and 3, as access was reduced due to the frame. You'll notice how I like to work my way through the cylinders one at a time, starting from number 1 through to number 4. I do this because each cylinder has a specific firing order from the ignition coils, so you need to make sure the correct cap from the ignition coil goes onto the correct spark plug. Same again for cylinder 2. Once we have cracked the plug loose, again use our rubber hose to remove the old spark plug and help us lower the new plug into position. Then get the first couple of threads started before torquing it down. Now moving on to the offside or the right hand side of the motorcycle, access is a little more restricted, so I will need to wiggle the coil pack back a little bit, move some lines up out the way, then unbolt the regulator rectifier from the frame and move that out the way so we can make room to remove the plug cap from cylinder 3. Also, just to note, once I have removed one of the old spark plugs, I like to pop it in a packet and label which cylinder it came from. Once I have finished the job, or even during, I can then inspect the old spark plug against the chart to see the running condition and performance of the engine, i.e. if one or more of your cylinders are running lean or rich, for example. Continue on to cylinder 4, which is a nice, easy, straightforward swap. Then we can begin the process of reassembling everything, starting with reinstalling the regulator rectifier to the frame, making sure you don't forget to reattach the earth wire. Then the ignition coil pack, which we have one bolt for this side and 2 bolts for the near or left hand side of the bike. For one of the bolts, I ended up having to use a socket and extension bar to get the bolt into the thread, as the wiring harness was in the way, making it tricky to do with my fingers alone. Then reattach the wires, 2 on each side, making sure they go onto the correct blades and firmly secure. Reinstall the fuel tank, connect and secure the fuel and vacuum lines to the petcock. Then, once we have refitted the side panels and the seat, all that's left to do is fire it up. Thanks for watching. If you found this video useful or informative and you haven't already, please don't forget to like the video and consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already. Every like, comment and subscribe really does help with the YouTube algorithm. Thanks for watching and ride safe.